Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the strength Dark King Fu and basically, getting a good feel for how good he is in Dokkan Battle. Now I think Fu is actually surprisingly decent. I actually really like his kit. I like how everything comes together. I know he doesn't necessarily have like big defensive mechanics like damage reduction or evasion, but I find him to be really good, especially on a heroes team, with how consistently he can provide some big support and have some good after super defense. Now obviously, as always with heroes units, having dupes is going to be super important and very pivotal to how well they do. But at the same time as well, it's important to understand that they are designed to run on their own teams. So it's definitely something you should consider whenever you are using them as units. Now Fu is pretty good. Like I said, I really like his kit and the way everything comes together. And I think overall he's a pretty solid option, on pretty much the heroes team. So let's talk about him. Obviously, he's a Battle Wits category lead of 130%, raises defense for 1 turn, seals super attack on his super attack. Then he has attack and defense of 150%, an additional 150% when performing his super. He gives extreme class allies 30% attack and defense, randomly changes key spheres of a certain type, strength excluded, 2 strength key spheres when there are 3 or more crossover category characters. And then, of course, he has an additional attack of 100%. with a extra strength key sphere obtained. Then he gets chance of evading the enemy super attack plus 10% up to 50%, and extreme class allies key plus 1 up to 5, and an additional attack and defense up to 20 per strength or rainbow key spheres. Whichever key sphere is collected, more will be counted. So what that means is if you collect 4 red key spheres and 1 rainbow key sphere, it will count the 4 red key spheres, not including the 1 rainbow key sphere. So pretty good stuff. Links wise, Accelerated Battle of Wits, Crossover, Dragon Ball Heroes, Realm of the Gods, Time Travelers. For me personally, I would say you probably want to run him with a full crit / additional build. I mean, additionals are good because you get the additional defensive raise, but I think his defense after super is pretty good. Remember, he gets a multiplicative kind of boost from having like really solid kind of foundational like supers into attack and defense. So it is quite good and very important. Obviously, for me, I think overall he looks really solid. The big thing is the consistency of strength orbs, which is why having those 3 crossover characters is vitally important. Even just getting 2 strength orbs is very pivotal. It gives all that extra key, it gives him 20% evasion, and it's kind of the big determining factor of his defensive mechanic. Remember, he is not a unit that has anything outside of this evasion you can proc with his strength orb. So if you don't proc it, then obviously he's going to be looking a lot worse defensively. Nice thing is the extra support. The extra key is really crazy. I mean, 5 key is really nuts for a support. I think it's it's ridiculously crazy how much key that he can bring as a support. So that I think that's really good. And honestly speaking, I do think that there is a kind of spectrum for him on other teams. I think the big shame, at least for me, is whenever you have these units, is he would be great on so many teams, but he needs those 3 crossover units. The requirements to having crossover units is obviously vitally important, but I think it's super important when you talk about the consistency of the orbs. And without the orbs, he has good raw defense after super, but not enough to handle the super hard content. Enough to be consistently good, but not enough to handle the super crazy, super hard content that's people always compare and use units in. So definitely something that could be, you know, not a big hindrance. Doesn't make him useless, but it is something to consider when you are obviously trying to, you know, use him in teams and use him for team building. Yeah, I think overall he's got a great link set though. We'll talk a little bit more about that a bit later on, but I do think he has a great link set. When you look at things like Brainiacs, Cold Judgment, Big Bad Bosses, all of these are super duper strong, you know, available links, and they're actually really good. And I think the only real hindrance he has is Demonic Power, which is a super strong link, just isn't that accessible. Fear and Faith gives him Ki, but Ki's not actually a big concern with this guy because of how much Ki he can give you with his passive. So not really, not that doesn't matter, it's just not absolutely mandatory, you know, like it might be for some other units. Whenever you consider like, okay, yeah, I'm building this unit, but I need to make sure he has Ki because he needs to make sure that he super attacks. That situation is just not existent for Dark King Fu. So it's, yeah, Fear and Faith isn't as pivotal as maybe it would be for some other units. But yeah, to talk about his link set, I think overall he's got a great link set. I think he's really, really solid. I think, like I said, huge value in Big Bad Bosses. Big Bad Bosses is something that's obviously pivotal to how he operates as a unit, and I think it's very crucial that you consider that when you are building him. Cold Judgment is something also super pivotal, ideally Brainiacs as well. I think those three links, any combination of two of those three links, and you're probably sitting in a very good position. Big Bad Bosses is probably the most consistent to get, but on a Heroes team, actually Brainiacs and Cold Judgment is also very easy to get, and Demonic Power. Like Heroes is probably the one team where Big Bad Bosses on the extreme side, for some reasons, not the biggest thing to get. However, you do have you know, Super Hearts, who hits all the right notes for Dark King Fu. Not only does Dark King Fu accommodate both of them with his passive, but Super Hearts actually accommodates him in terms of his passive and his main links. He hits Big Bad Bosses, Cold Judgment, Brainiacs, and Fierce Battle. They both support each other like crazy, and of course, you know, there's really good synergy between the two of them, with Dark King Fu being a great second slot option, and with Super Hearts being an excellent kind of first slot option for the first couple turns. They really complement each other quite well, and they do make a very menacing pairing. Just having both of them, and you probably need dupes in both of them as well to make them handle the super hard content, but they are still really, really solid together. So very, very good. I think overall I really like Dark King Fu. I like what he brings to the table. I think he's a ton of fun. Leveling him is definitely worth it. And if you're running an extreme variant of the Heroes team, then you definitely need Fu. I think he's a #1 pick there. And I think he's a decent pick on any Heroes team actually. And he's solid. And 3 crossover units is possible on some other team builds, so don't limit him to just Heroes team or crossover. You can probably make him work under Time Travelers or somewhere else along the lines. He's not on the most categories, but he is still on a couple. So you can still probably make him work. But yeah, that's basically going to be it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.